There is a lot here. Let's continue to read Luke chapter 23. Then the whole assembly rose and led him off to Pilate, and they began to accuse him, saying, "We have found this man subverting our nation. He opposes payments of taxes to Caesar and claims to be Christ, a king." So Pilate asked Jesus, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Yes, it is as you say, Jesus replied. Then Pilate announced to the chief priests and the crowd, "I find no basis for a charge against this man." But they insisted. "He stirs up the people all over Judea by his teachings. He started in Galilee and has come all the way here." On hearing this, Pilate asked if the man was a Galilean. When he learned that Jesus was under Herod's jurisdiction, he sent him to Herod, who was also in Jerusalem at that time. When Herod saw Jesus, he was greatly pleased, because for a long time he had been wanting to see him. From what he had heard about him, he hoped to see him perform some miracle. He plied him with many questions, but Jesus gave him no answer. The chief priests and the teachers of the law were standing there, vehemently accusing him. Then Herod and his soldiers ridiculed and mocked him. Dressing him in the elegant robe, they sent him back to Pilate. That day, Herod and Pilate became friends. Before this, they had been enemies. Pilate called together the chief priests, the rulers, and the people, and said to them, "You brought me this man as one who was inciting the people to rebellion. I have examined him in your presence and have found no basis for your charges against him. Neither has Herod, for he sent him back to us. As you can see, he has done nothing to deserve death. Therefore, I will punish him and then release him." With one voice they cried out, "Away with this man! Release Barabbas to us!" Barabbas had been thrown into prison for an insurrection in the city and for murder. Wanting to release Jesus, Pilate appealed to them again, but they kept shouting, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" For the third time he spoke to them, "Why? What crime has this man committed? I have found in him no grounds for the death penalty. Therefore, I will have him punished and then release him." But with loud shouts they instantly demanded that he be crucified, and their shouts prevailed. So Pilate decided to grant their demand. He released the man who had been thrown into prison for insurrection and murder, the one they asked for, and surrendered Jesus to their will. So, even then, even now, the priests and the elders were able to get the people to stir up the people and do exactly everything that they're accusing. So, as you can see, they're projecting all of this onto Jesus. The hate, the wickedness, the maliceness, the insurrectionists, all of this, there we're projecting all. And as you can see, as we're reading on, this is what the priests were doing. This is what the Pharisees and Sadducees and the elders were doing. That's what they were doing. But as you can see, they were projecting it on Jesus. Why? Because why not? That will secure their power and authority or secure their place, and they can easily manipulate people. Why not? What they didn't know is that this was all planned anyways, that it needed to happen. It had to happen. It was the only way. And Jesus, he followed the law. He turned the other cheek. He allowed for them to ridicule him. And he was taken away. And yet the people got what they demanded. Do you see that? It wraps in a lot of what we talked about. Bringing past to present. A lot of times, even in the past, people have, and even nowadays, people demand and want things and demand for them and even seek them and gain them. Sometimes the Lord will allow for it. Absolutely. May not be what you're supposed to get, but he'll go ahead and release it to you. Exactly what's what had just happened here. Also, another thing, something that we haven't really discussed a whole lot about, but we've mentioned, you really used the word projection. Are there things and circumstances, and the reason why I haven't really gone into this, because this is more, we're getting into sociology and psychological items in religious studies and in Bible studies. So projection, when someone who does certain things or acts a certain way, feels a certain way, projects that on others, even though they may not. So, as we can see, the priests were doing exactly what they had done all along, but they were projecting it on Jesus. Do you see that happening now and today in our lives, in your life? Have you came across a situation, conversation, work, school related, relationship related, where someone told you how you are, what kind of decisions you make, or what kind of thoughts you have, or what kind of words come out of your mouth? Have you taken a moment to really think about that? When things and words like that are said to you, have you given it to Jesus? Have you given it to the Lord to let you know how he feels? Because the Lord's going to give you the correct answer, the truth. What you may have heard is what's called a projection of something that they feel. Remember, hurt people, we've talked about this before too. Hurt people hurt others. It is known. Sometimes that is not the case, but sometimes it is the case because they're hurt and they want other people to be empathetic. And the only way to get someone to be empathetic is by them being hurt as well. So think about that. Seek the Lord in his guidance. Learn, grow, understand, and accept what the Lord has in store for you. Before we go on, though, what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind when we read over this? How does it make you feel? What does it make you think?